Free Cheese, episode 538. I am your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
Hey.
Matt Selner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games, brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Welcome to Season 12. Welcome to 2024. Mark, Matt, this is our annual predictions episode, but this year we've got so much more planned than just predictions. We will, of course, look back at what we anticipated, both games and predictions-wise, in 2023. We will look back at our personal theme reflection. We will cast new predictions. We will look ahead at 2024. But we're also going to detail a bit of what's coming in Season 12. And we have a special segment following our console ranking 3-part series from Season 11. Before we dive in, quickly, Mark and Matt, I would like to know, when we get to it, who do you think won predictions last year? I'm not sure if you guys remember your predictions or if you looked, but who do you think won? What is your guess, Mark, out of the three of us?
I'm going to guess Matt.
And Matt, who do you think won?
I was going to say Mark.
Okay. Stay tuned, the two of you and the listener, to find out. We're going to jump right in with our 2023 recap. So last year, we closed out our episode discussing our most anticipated game of 2023. Do you guys remember what you said?
Yes.
What was yours, Mark?
For most anticipated, it was Street Fighter 6.
Bingo! How do you think Street Fighter 6 lived up to your anticipation?
Feels good. It feels like a milestone was reached. I'm glad it happened. Hope to see that game flourish in better ways, especially with its currencies. But other than that, I think it's a pretty solid game.
They did sneak a battle pass in there last minute. Not happy about that. But otherwise, that game was solid. Very solid. We talked about it, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? But if we'd done a traditional game of the year, I think that would have won for us, for sure.
Yeah, I think the only thing that, I don't know if it's still a nitpicky or if it's upgraded to full complaint, but, like, the DLC stuff for, like, costumes or whatever, not enough support for characters. It's all like avatar stuff. I kind of want them to gravitate away from that. But
yeah, I didn't care for that. I thought it was neat if you're going to play World Tour, but like I wasn't doing avatar fights. I'm doing fights as my main. I want costumes for the main.
They're like slowly starting to come around. So I just hope there's more of that where that came from.
I think it could consider, like, if you think about how long 5 was supported, this game will be around for a bit, and 5 ended up having too many costumes. In the best way. So, Matt, do you remember what your most anticipated title was?
One of the Final Fantasies. I'm going to say 16 since it had a release date.
Yes, you are correct. Your first answer was Elden Ring's DLC.
Okay.
And then I re-asked the question, pointing out that we should discuss at that point things with release dates. And sorry, I said we closed the episode with this, but we actually opened the episode with this. But yes, you said Elden Ring DLC, which, hey, stay tuned for 2024's most anticipated listeners, because maybe Matt's got something there. But yeah, you landed on Final Fantasy 16 as your most anticipated. How did that turn? I mean, we talked a bit about that last week, but...
Yeah, it ended up being my favorite game of the year. I talked at length about it last year, whatever. It's when you think Final Fantasy, like especially PlayStation, and it just pushes cinematics and storytelling and graphics, and like how cool to see the CGI cutscene on a PlayStation 1. It took that step on a PS5. at various times. It was the spectacle. And then its gameplay was very good. Its action RPG took a step up. I think it did more than 15 in the action RPG stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of different weird builds and abilities, and just it's a fun time. While maybe slightly repetitive, it's really good.
Did you miss the modern contemporary setting from 15 while playing 16?
No.
What about the regalia?
No.
Not even having.
I know, because this game, one of my biggest things with 15, besides there's a couple of things I have with that game, but one of them is the open world. It's like empty at times.
Yeah.
This is just like the open zone thing, which less so than Sonic's. It's just like these little maps, which feel more. I mean, at times they can be empty when you get into like deserts and stuff like that. But like I feel like just because there's less actual space, there's more to do and more nooks and crannies for like secret boss fights and things like that. I mean, it's not perfect in any way, but I feel like if they had gone this route with a open world, it would have been far more boring than what we got here.
And my most anticipated, right along Final Fantasy, was Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy. No, just Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, which is the rhythm game with Final Fantasy music, and in this case, actually just a ton of Square Enix music all throughout it. It's good. It's not as good as the 3DS one. The music selection is much more vast, but it had me missing the sort of adventure mode and gameplay from the 3DS one. So much so that I've played a bit of the 3DS one throughout 2023 while still playing the Switch one. But it's a dang good game, and I'm happy that it was able to light a fire in Matt particularly, because before we close out on our most anticipated game, another thing that opened up the podcast last year was me saying, you guys, no interest in Final Fantasy XIV, right? To which Matt said, no, and Mark said, I'd need a good reason to play. And you both found the good reasons to play, because you both jumped way back into Final Fantasy XIV, right? Mark, you started a whole new character, which I'm kind of like retreading last week, so I don't want to go too deep in it. But yeah, I mean, you jumped into that. Matt, you tried it for the first time, played near to the end of A Realm Reborn. I will ask this year, you guys no interest in Phantasy Star Online 2 New Generation?
That won't be happening. That's a solid no. The last one, at least I had a window. I gave it a window of opportunity, but no. One's
my interest. My interest never left. It'll always be there.
I know. I always think about every time I reinstall PSO2 and play for an hour, I'm like, ugh. It's the progression. I need to play PSO1, and more on that later in this episode. But
yeah, it's all like the menu stuff is whatever, but the combat is just too good.
No, the combat rules. It's just everything else around.
Yeah.
So Mark started this tradition a few years back for us to sort of take a look at the year and assign a theme, so to speak, to it. So we each have gone through year over year and assigned these themes, just sort of kind of entering the year with a specific state of mind or reflecting on things we feel like we want to do differently or make a goal. So I will read through what we did last year, and I've got some follow-up questions to see how things turned out. So Mark, your 2023 was intended to be the year of the seed. And please elaborate if I truncate this too much, but what you said last year was after spending time returning to your roots, you wanted to plant new trees to see where they went. You kind of talked about how the year before, being the year of the empty cup, you spent a lot of time just like seeing what fell in the cup and seeing kind of just what you got into and just being open to things, but that also led you to some rediscovery. of things that you once loved. So going into 2023, you wanted to sort of take that stuff, plant new trees, see how they sprout. So where did they go? Where did the trees sprout you to?
I think like some trees are still growing, other ones kind of halted. But it's, I mean, they definitely flourished. I mean, there was definitely some growth. I would say overall it's a success. Like, I mean, the past year I definitely took on new things that I've never done before. Like for like music stuff, like I learned a new instrument. For career stuff, I learned to be a mechanic for a little bit. Things that it just were never really in my wheelhouse before. So that was very eye-opening. And then I guess along the way, just, personal growth as usual. So yeah, I would say there were successes in that, but, the ones that halted, I think it's not, I wouldn't take it as a bad thing. It's just, there's no good or bad. It's just data, essentially, and just what to do with it.
Yeah, right. And I mean, not every seed will yield fruit, but
right.
It's cool being able to appreciate the ones that did. Moving in order of how we read these, mine was the year of balance. I wanted to be flexible and fluid enough to let games be fun while dropping any feelings of guilt I had over doing one thing or not doing something else. And I kind of was talking about finding ways to evenly spend time playing games and working on projects, whether it's the podcast or the website or other personal project stuff. Yeah, and in reflection, I was like, well, I don't know, because I look back on the things I didn't finish, but then I forget all the things I did finish, and looking back, I was like, oh no, I did a lot this year. I feel pretty good about that, and I, played what we needed to play for the podcast, played plenty of other games, and I'm still not quite, I think this is why we do this, right? Because now I'm going into 2024, and the theme I find myself leaning towards for 2024, is kind of like the next evolution of this, which is, I think, how we keep doing these. But while I do find I felt balance, and I kind of shook off that the guilt was the weird one, like feeling guilty about playing something for too long or not playing something enough, that kind of stuff. Or jumping into something when I felt like I ought to be doing XYZ, whatever. And Matt, you had the year of playing out of bounds. You wanted to jump into more games that are not typically your desired game type, generally looking for weird things to play. This was sort of, again, following up your previous year's Year of Me. You wanted to lean into the strange, knowing that you played things you hadn't played before and really liked it. The big one that sparked all that was Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, and then that sort of opening your eyes. So, Matt, what was the weirdest thing you played in 2023?
I think it's going to be Final Fantasy 14. I did not expect to ever go into an MMO. I don't know if I really executed on the year besides that game, because everything else kind of was more my realm. Got a From Software game, a Spider-Man game, new Final Fantasy, I guess. I don't know. But no, I guess that's the weird one. That's the one I'm going to end up coming back to, like, real soon. Trying to do something, but it's actually related to my new one when we do this. So, yeah, no, that's probably the only thing that really hit it. I never really got to play anything weird indie or really outside my thing besides, I don't know. No, 14. That was it. That's at least I
do you feel like you?
Well, Street Fighter, I guess. I wouldn't say.
You know what?
Like,
that's actually
weird.
A really good. No, that's a really weird for you, right? Because you were never drawn to fighting games in that way, and you got. I mean, you played, I think, 3 times the amount of Street Fighter that either of us did. You really got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Do you have a desire to chase weird stuff this year?
No, actually, mine is going to be knowing when to cut ties. And I think specifically, I couldn't think of a clever name, but maybe not pursuing a platinum trophy every single time, even if it is one of my favorite games.
Huh. Interesting. We'll have to, we're going to have an interesting comparison here, Matthew. More on that in a little bit. We've got one more thing to do to wrap up 2023, and that is read our predictions from last year, find out what the results of our predictions were, and cast a winner for the year. I'm going to go in order that we presented them last year. So, Mark, you're up first.
Okay.
Mark, your first prediction. Due to the overwhelming positive feedback, Crystal Dynamics will reveal a CG teaser of the next Legacy of Kain game with Kain speaking and Raziel not speaking, but present.
Woof.
Sorry. Here's what I'd like to say going into Mark's predictions.
They're all
Mark,
wrong.
It's not even that. Going back through years of your predictions, you are always right eventually.
Yeah. I was like, I'm almost like a year or two off or something.
Yeah, you've got the Turboman gift certificate at the radio station deal going on, you know? You will get one. Number 2. You said Miyamoto would have a cameo in the Mario movie.
I forgot to check for that.
I checked the credits. Charles Martinet did. Martinet. I did not find anything about Miyamoto being in the movie, to my knowledge.
Dang, wow.
Has any of us seen that movie?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Oh, you did?
I think I went. Yeah, I went in theaters and saw that.
Was it good?
I mean, don't ever expect plot from Mario, but
Oh, yeah.
visually, I think it was very nice.
Seeing the trailer made me happy.
Console Wars Part 2. Sonic or Mario?
Honestly, wait, Sonic 1 or Sonic 2?
Sonic 1. We'll play even terms.
Sonic 1. Dang. It's man.
All right.
I like Sonic. It sucks because it's like I like Sonic's character, but I hate his world. But I like Mario's world, but don't care for Mario. So,
That's good enough. The draw with the explanation.
But Mario has Luigi, so
Charlie did
yeah,
a good job.
yeah. I'll go with Mario.
Mark, he said the Konami's next collection to be announced would be the Mystical Ninja series, specifically collecting its 2D games. Surprisingly, they went with Metal Gear.
So it's only a matter of time, right?
They're
many more
running out of
IPs they
collections
got?
to make. Yeah.
Well, they got a second part of Metal Gear.
Yeah, true. Your number 4, you said Kyle Travers will reveal himself in Street Fighter 6 either as a background character or referenced as costume content for custom fighters. Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
I have seen people, in doing research for this, I saw people building custom fighters to make them appear like. So it's getting there.
Yeah.
And your last prediction, which sadly is yet to come true, but boy, you could just roll this one right into 2024 because I feel it's imminent. Luigi's Mansion 4 Ghost Train.
I feel like I've used that as much as I could for like when we do those like off air like bingo cards for like directs and stuff. I'm always writing that one in.
It's coming, dude. That 3 did too many too high figures to not.
Yeah.
So So, Mark, that's going to be 5 X's across the board. I'm sorry to say.
Whoop, whoop.
I went second last year. My first prediction is that Sega would announce a new House of the Dead game coming to consoles. It seems like they announced every franchise but that. 0 points. I said Konami would announce 2 new Castlevania games. Also incorrect. But boy, we're close to that too, aren't we? This one, I had to do some math for and some digging. I said Microsoft would release more first-party studio titles than Sony. I got a point. So, barring any like Gran Turismo 7 VR updates, that kind of stuff, I'm talking just releases. Sony's releases that I could find. Brand new first-party studio, not second-party, first-party. Marvel Spider-Man 2, MLB The Show 23, and Horizon Call of the Mountain, the PSVR 2 Horizon game.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah.
Microsoft released Hi-Fi Rush, Starfield, Redfall, Minecraft Legends, Forza Motorsport, and then this one's a little weird, but like Age of Empires 4 hit consoles for the first time, GoldenEye 007. Yeah, it gets a little weird. I'm not going to go down that hole too deep.
No, but you straight up have 4 with, Minecraft Legends or, what was the first one you said?
Forza.
No, the third.
Redfall?
I knew Redfall, Starfield, and Forza. I forgot the other one.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, that was the one.
Yeah. So I got a point there. This one. I said that Game Boy games would not be added to Nintendo Switch Online. Instead, Nintendo would integrate NES Remix challenges to existing platforms that reward players with new avatar elements. Incorrect. They did add Game Boy games. They did not add NES Remix challenges, and avatar elements are just something you get for silver coins. So, nothing there. And then, oh man, what a different year we could have had. I said that Metroid Prime 4 was shown at the end of the first Nintendo Direct of 2023. Its title is revealed with a promise via post-direct release, a press release to show more of the game later in the year ahead of its holiday 2023 release. 0 points. Finally, so that brings me to a total of 1. Matt's 5 predictions for 2023. Number 1, you said, Tears of the Kingdom marks a new beginning for the Switch. The game has its own edition of the Switch. To fans' surprise, this edition comes with a Zelda theme that gets the ball rolling on themes on Switch. And this console update also brings a makeover to the Switch digital store. So I think that was 3 potentials, and you got 1 of those 3. So I give you a third of a point there.
There it is. Here we are.
You got your third point? You good?
Keep adding up the thirds. That's 1.333.
Still got that Tony Hawk point.
No, 1.6. Sorry. Oh yeah, no. Oh, I was waiting for that at the end. I was going to use that for my advantage.
Oh God. You said number 2, Microsoft Cross Nintendo, a super mega deal that brings Game Pass cloud streaming to Switch and the Nintendo Classic console apps to Xbox. That did not happen. Not yet. Not yet. Number 3, you said Microsoft continues to play the, quote, good guy, end quote. We will see our first console price drop on the Xbox Series X and S. Microsoft will also announce their all-digital streaming box that goes for $79 retail to compete with other streaming boxes like Apple TV. So, I almost gave you a half point, but the console price drops I saw around holidays seem to be retailer
driven
option and just for holiday. It's not a permanent price drop. So I went with 0 points on that.
That's fair.
Okay. Number 4. You said that one of EA Sports' main franchises will change the traditional yearly releases to something else. Seems like they stuck with the annual releases for now, but who knows? And finally, number 5. You said that Ubisoft would be acquired by someone by the end of the year. I believe Yves Guillemot is still in charge of the ship. We'll find out what happens
Come
once
February.
Yeah, exactly. But for now. So, Matt, that brings you to a total of a third of a point.
Hot dang.
Which means, for the first time in 7 years or something stupid, I have won predictions.
Wow. Congrats.
I will not repeat that in 2024. I can promise you. And we'll find out why in just a moment. That's our 2023. Any final word, Mark, Matt, on 2023? I know we kind of did all that last week, so if not, no big deal. But that's where we landed on.
GG.
GG. I'm going to take GG and Matt's scrunched face as let's move into 2024. So first up, we are going to discuss what I did this year was I started to prepare my predictions. I started having random thoughts. These things just appear to me throughout the year. And I started jotting things down. And I was like, I feel like I'm burning some sick predictions here. We only got 5 we can make. I feel like I'm wasting slots here. So I decided, what if I just come up with some very easy closed-ended questions? I guess some of these are open-ended. Either way, a group of questions to ask all 3 of us that we each get an opportunity to answer, and that can help free up our prediction slots for something else. So we'll obviously read the questions here. We'll each answer them, and you can review our answers on the 2024 page, which will be on the homepage of thefreecheese.com by the time you're listening to this episode. So I won last year's predictions, which means I get to choose the order. I'm going to go last this year. Mark, I'm going to let you go first, and Matt, I'm going to slap you right in the middle. So, Mark, okay. What will PlayStation do for the 30th anniversary of PlayStation?
So I gave this a 2 prompts. At the very most and at the very least. At the very most, that Jim Ryan edition PS5 or just a controller.
Perfect.
At the very least, a social media post.
Man. Matt?
Here's your definitive answer. A sale and a PS5 theme.
Nobody likes to sell. I hate how correct you both are with mark your minimum.
We've been burnt so much now.
I know. Nobody cares. Anyway, I said a 30th anniversary DualSense end covers for the PlayStation 5. I also said, this is an optional, but hey, an update for the PlayStation Portal will allow for local downloads or streaming of PS1 games or PSX games.
You were so high when you said that second part.
That was one of the first things I had because my original thing in my notes said Project Q will support PSX downloads for the 30th anniversary. I know.
Okay, sure.
Number 2. Hey, if I get a half point, you know what I mean? It's another point next year. I'm thinking ahead, Matt style. Number 2. What will PlayStation do for the 20th anniversary of PSP? Mark.
I did the double prompt again. At the very most, social media post. at the very least, crickets.
Yeah, I think Famitsu will have a better commemorative post than PlayStation will. Matt, what do you think 20th anniversary of PSP holds?
A 20% off sale on the PSP.
The Portal. I hate you for saying that. That's awesome. I was kind of in line with Mark. I said a commemorative post on PlayStation blog with the release of 2 games, PSP games, for a PlayStation Plus Premium. Number 3. Will Metroid Prime 4 release? Mark.
Okay, ready?
Uh-huh.
No.
Dang. Matt.
No.
Me. No. Very good. Number 4. Which game will win the Keighley this year? And which game should have won? I apologize. Matt's face looks confused. I did reorganize these questions from the order I sent them to you.
Okay.
The Keighley question. Yeah.
Okay,
the
so
Keighley question. Which game will win the Keighley and which game should have?
is it still me then?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I only had one answer for both of those, and it's
Okay.
Rebirth.
Oh, nice. Matt?
I was going to say Rebirth for either one of these two, but I decided to take a left-hand turn here. What will win is Dragon's Dogma 2. Thinking the
Ooh.
Baldur's Gate 3 approach here. And then the game that should win, because me personally thinks it should win, I don't think it's released for this year, or has a date for this year, but I'm just going to say it comes out at some point. That Metal Gear Solid Snake Delta Snake Eater.
Oh, okay.
I like that answer.
We were closely aligned, Matt. We took a different paths on the end there. I said that Dragon's Dogma 2 will win the Keighley this year, but Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth should win the Keighley this year.
That would have been my answer too, with that. But Rebirth just seems so huge.
It doesn't end, though. There's still a third part. That's the problem.
I know. Number 5. Will the new Nintendo console have Joy-Con controllers?
Yes, but upgraded.
Okay. Matt.
Maybe like a sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was saying maybe just like maybe a little bigger in size or better button, D-pad, joystick placement, a little more ergonomic for your hands, stuff like that.
I also have a yes but answer. Yes, but it would be called a Joy-Con 2. But caveat, it will have Joy-Con 1 support.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. But my answer for this is just no. It will not. It will not ship with Joy-Con controllers. Number 6. Which major game scheduled for release in 2024 will be delayed? Now, just for you and the listeners, this extends to anything that is currently on the 2024 Wikipedia page. So if there's something that's just loosely said to be probably maybe coming in the year but doesn't have a hard release date, that is open for whatever. But for example, we know that Grand Theft Auto 6 is not coming out until 2025, according to Rockstar. That would not be something you could guess here. So which major game scheduled for release will be delayed? Mark.
Hellblade 2.
Matt.
I didn't know the exact rules of this question. I said Call of Duty ?
Fair enough.
But if we can't take that, my answer is also Hellblade 2.
No, I'm going with Call of Duty. I like that. That's good. Okay. I said Pragmata. If that game's
that's a good choice.
Not outright canceled, I got a good feeling that one's getting delayed again.
Yeah.
Number 7. What will Suicide Squad's OpenCritic average score be by the time we record 2025 predictions? Mark.
I had 28 written down. I think I'm gonna bump it down to 25.
Huh. Matt.
I mean, I didn't even think it was going to start that low. I figured it might start in the 60s, and then with some, we're sorry, development and stuff, I think it will creep up to 77 by this time next year.
Oh man, Matt and I are going to be playing Price is Right. I've got it at 80.
Like, so, but the question, like, this time next year, right?
Yeah, a year from.
Yeah,
like when this episode.
Wow, okay.
You know, a year
I think
from
it
now.
starts off a mess.
Oh yeah,
but
no
they
doubt.
have more development time, and it somewhat gets itself fixed.
It's that. Here's the other thing. I think that the internet is so stupid today that because it will come out so low, you're going to have this whatever that they end up driving the score back up because they feel bad, or it'll be some stupid.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, like I think I put all my money on the Arkham fans just raining down hard.
Oh,
I mean, I will.
Hit heavier.
I'll be there for day one. What pitch?
Yeah.
Number 8. In an attempt to recapture engagement, Microsoft will announce a revival of which Activision series? Mark.
Hexen.
Woo!
Like that.
Matt.
I said Tony Hawk is easy.
I hope you're both right and I'm wrong. I said Guitar Hero.
Well, you gotta let that's gotta go. No,
I could see it. Fortnite bringing out that competition again.
Stop.
Number 9. Will Metroid Prime 2 Remastered release this year? Mark.
Sorry. I have to remember what number that was before. It got changed.
Oh, still 2. Oh, that question. I'm sorry.
It was 10?
It was 10.
Okay, because I have no written 3 times on here, so I had to make sure if that was a no to that. Yeah, no, it's not.
Very good. Matt.
I have yes, but with reasoning. Yes, as the holiday game, because 4 is delayed to oblivion.
Got it. I just flat out said no. My, unwritten reasoning is that they never put out Super Mario Galaxy 2, so why not do this? Number 10. Which game is in most need of a remaster this year? Mark.
I went back and picked one of my babies again, but Soul Reaver.
Hey.
There isn't a good port of that.
I like it. Matt.
I'm going to beat a drum I was beating this time last year. Parasite Eve.
I said
It's going.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Modernize it, add some new characters, get it ready for something else that's coming up in question 12. Number 11.
Ooh.
What is the name of Nintendo's new console? Mark.
Okay. I kind of have 2 options here. I threw in Switch Plus as like the safe answer because I could just see it being that. But I like my other one. Switch Tenchi, which in Hanafuda that means 4 of a kind.
Okay. I like it.
God damn it, he's right. I know he's right too. That's the sad part.
That's really good. Matt?
I was going to say, after intensive years of market research and practical research of naming their things the stupidest ways they can, they're finally going to do it right and just say, Switch 2.
I almost had the same answer as you. Instead, I dropped the 2. It's going to be called Nintendo Switch. We'll see.
The new
Number
Nintendo
12.
Switch or just the Nintendo Switch?
Nintendo Switch.
Oh my
Stay
god,
tuned.
that new crap, man. That was
Yeah, I thought about the new, and I'm like, maybe they'll do Switch U. No, they're not going to do that again. All right, number 12. If Sega announces the Super Game this year, will it use an existing franchise? If yes, which one? Mark.
Here's my third no.
Very good. Matt.
I think I misread this. What did you mean by Super Game?
So they announced they're working on a Super Game. This is the one that's using Microsoft's Azure.
Oh, right.
Stuff.
Okay, that's right. I forgot that's how they phrased that. Sorry.
And it's the thing that on all of their financial report, they keep saying, like, the Super Game, when the Super Game comes, the Super Game.
Oh, I'm wrong, but I'm just going to put it on the record because I already had it here. I said yes, and I said House of the Dead VR.
Oh, okay. I like it. We'll just say House of the Dead.
I mean,
I think it's going to
And
be
here's
VR,
the-
though.
because the Super Game was supposed to be like lasting for years, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to make something to compete with a live service type thing.
I'm
What
very
better?
much
What better than a genre that hasn't died, which is zombies? So
Yeah.
I'll swing and then miss there. Okay, it's fine.
Well, Matt, you might be right if I'm right, because my answer was yes, all of them. I think they're just gonna make.
yeah, I could see that, like a virtual arcade type thing, or in some way.
Just I'm also kind of giving myself half a preemptive point in a year if this comes right, because I feel like if they announce it, even if it's, let's say, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed online forever, something like that, you could just throw costumes, you could throw, I'm thinking along those lines,
Sure.
like a live service game being filled with Sega,
Dude,
stuff.
it's just going to be PlayStation Home, but you could have your avatar be the character in all these games.
Dude, I would be very happy with that.
It's too good.
All right. We're going to move into our predictions. But first, I want to talk on our personal theme. Save the predictions for last. So our personal theme for the year. We're going to go in the same order. Mark, Matt, me. Mark, last year was the year of the seed. What is 2024 for you?
I didn't like the name that I landed on, but I couldn't think of anything else, so I'm just going to go with it. Year of the Torch.
Hey.
I liked, went from having an empty cup to filling it to planting seeds. I think with enough of expanding and growing, I think it's time to take some of that knowledge and start treading down the path. So, break a branch off, light it, something like that.
Do you know any of the paths that lie ahead?
Nope.
I love it. I'm excited for a random week or night at the end of this year when I'm driving to pick up food to listen to the podcast and write down in a note what you said today so that I can reflect on it with you in a year.
No, it's stupid. It was like some comment I read on like Instagram or something. It just like came out of nowhere. And it's such like a cheesy metaphor, like you would see like somebody's mom post on Facebook or something. But it was like something about like being the fire that lights your path or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So it just never left my head. So I was like, well, whatever. I'll embrace this Hallmark card. Let's just go for it.
I like it. Hey, Hallmark's good, popular for a reason, right? Matt, what is your 2024 personal theme?
Am I still having fun? That's going to be a question I begin to ask myself upon completing a game, and then proceeding to look at the trophy list and being an asshole about getting a platinum trophy. I will not sit here and say I will not peek at trophy list afterwards, but I will ask myself as I potentially hop into that journey, am I still having fun? Because sometimes I think I'll linger on a game for too long. And Resident Evil 4, kind of this year, showed me something. That game, from beginning to platinum, was one of the best experiences of gaming, because that platinum list, or the trophy list for the platinum, was like so fun, so different, had me playing in different ways, challenging myself. Of course there's not that much grindy things, but like nothing that made me really be like, ugh, here we go, here's the grind. And I did that already a little bit this year. I stopped the Final Fantasy VII Remake platinum grind, which happened early last year in 2023. When I saw the side quest and the costume stuff is just bonkers. I also did it this year. I'm 2 trophies away from Spider-Man 2's platinum, but I don't feel like gliding across the whole city nor looking up the guy to guide across the whole city. That, and I gotta do that Venom buff thing like 8 more times in a battle, which I still don't feel like doing. Those are like the only 2 things keeping me away. And right now I'm still currently going through the Final Fantasy 16 Platinum. I'm having fun replaying through the game in Final Fantasy mode, so I think I will see it through to the end there just to see what those end bosses are. But I know some of the stuff that is after the fact is about using abilities in specific ways or so many times, and I don't know. I've never liked using those abilities in my build every time I tried, so I don't know if it's gonna be worth it to try to get good enough with them to complete a trophy. So yeah, I think it's time I start asking myself that question more and more, especially not just platinum games, but like maybe even putting down a game. Yeah, I mean, because right now I'm playing through 16, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, I kind of want to play, ready to hop back in 14, try to get through some more of those expansions for the new one coming out this year. You know, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out this year. Like if we start off with a bang with Like a Dragon, yeah, like Infinite Wealth, right? Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, yeah. Like I start off with that and Tekken the same day, and I want to get good with King and Tekken. Like, you know, at what point do I stop trying to get good with King? Or what point am I pissing myself off? Or like Infinite Wealth, you know, at what point do I maybe I see it through, but you know, if not, like when do I drop that game? When am I, you know, hopefully it doesn't get boring, but it's okay to walk away from something you're not having the best time with anymore, that you saw through enough. And you can always come back to it.
I
like that.
Normally I like to ask, you know, and elaborate or follow-up questions, but I feel like the best thing I can do in response to your personal theme, Matt, is just read mine at this point. Mine is the year of completion. So making sure I'm seeing games and other experiences through to a point of completion, avoiding the tendency to get distracted and get attracted to the fresh concept that's nearby. I feel like I spend a lot of time reading about video games, and I'll stick to just video games, obviously, for the sake of the podcast, but I do this with so many things, hobbies or whatever. But in video games, like, all it takes is the right YouTube video or random magazine article from 20 years ago or forum post, and I'm suddenly completely in a different direction, and everything I was currently having fun with or whatever. Even there was just a thing this week after writing this personal theme, where I was like, I saw a video of someone talking about the Pokemon Violet DLC, and I was like, I'm going to watch this video, and I know there's a part of me that's going to want to play that game, but I don't need to. I'm not playing that game. I'm done. I had a good time with it a few months back. I'm not doing it. 15 minutes into the thing, I was like, I got to play Pokemon tonight. Like, and not even that. Here's what I did. This weird, like, completion brain. I was like, oh, I never finished Pokemon Black. I should go back. So I started Pokemon Black again. Like, I have too many things, too many fragmented, unfinished things. So, and I think part of that is like spending the last few years just making sure I have so many options available at any time. Now I have too many options, and it's too easy to abandon something because it's shiny and just within reach. So obviously the games for the podcast will shape a lot of what I'm playing this year, but I also want to make sure that when I sit down to play something, I am going to play that thing. So to your point, Matt, of like being okay stepping away, I'm not going to say I'm not going to step away from things, but I'm going to try and be a little bit more intentional about what I do play. And I feel like I've gotten better at that through the last few years. Like, no longer am I just like flash buying things because they're on sale or because I feel this weird guilt or obligation to buy something so that I can tell the publisher with my dollar that, like, all of that stuff I've like started to shake. But you know, like, I want to play Like a Dragon in a couple of weeks, but I still haven't finished the last one. So like, I got to get through that, and I need to, you know, commit.
We're like, it's so dumb because I think we're meeting in the middle despite our things being completely different. I drive myself out of the same shit. And to be fair, like, it is like every day, or, you know, when you do hop on something, I might see you like, I don't think I've ever seen you in the same game for 2 days in a row whenever I'm getting on the PlayStation or
probably not. And that's
Discord,
what you're seeing me play online
yeah.
with, right? Like, there's a lot of
right.
stuff
I know you're some Mr. and yeah.
Yeah. It's a bad time over here, so I'm just trying to
Completely,
finish some stuff.
it's just polar opposites, but we're just kind of meeting in the middle.
I like it. No, I like it. I think we've all three got an interesting 2024 ahead of us. And with the upcoming 15 predictions, I think the world is about to have an interesting 2024 ahead of it. It's time for our 2024 predictions. Mark, what is your first prediction for 2024?
I'll just get it out of the way because it's a meme at this point. But Luigi's Mansion 4. Got. This is where I got to solidify it. It stays in the
Ghost Train.
Well, so in my head it's always going to be called Frightmare.
Oh,
But
Nice.
okay.
When I saw that they were doing an HD version of 2, they dropped the subtitle. It's just Luigi Mansions 2 HD.
That's
What
it.
was two?
I will say it was only Dark Moon in America. Every other region it was 2. So I feel like they did that for global. I'm with you though. Luigi's Mansion 4.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah,
we'll see.
same order, sorry. I'm going to start you off with an appetizer. The one-parter. And it's actually, I didn't even realize I guessed it last year, too, but here we are. I'm a little bit more specific, too. Nintendo buys a majority share of Ubisoft.
You really want Ubisoft to get snagged up, don't you?
I just think, I don't know, when I say research, I looked at their stock price for 2 minutes today and saw they could be bought.
Interesting. I would be interested to see how that. Yeah, I feel like they could fit internally at Nintendo.
They've been in a partnership before. I was just thinking
Sure.
Nintendo has seen some kind of success with the cloud stuff on Switch. I don't know, they want to double down on some of that. And Ubisoft has what I don't even know what it's called, but they have some kind of infrastructure. So,
Well, and they have the Xbox rights for Europe,
I forgot
that.
about that. I mean, yeah, yep.
so they would. Yeah. All right, I like it. My first prediction. With the rise of FPGA consoles and availability, to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Game Boy, Nintendo will announce and release an FPGA-based Game Boy Mini. In addition to a library of classic titles, one original title will be included in the collection. Also, Sega will tease a Sega Saturn Mini. There's a 3-parter for you, Matthew.
Well,
Just getting started.
oh, good little pivot there on the end there. That's how you condense predictions.
There you go. Mark, number 2.
So with the expansion at Super Nintendo World, because they're adding a Donkey Kong themed addition to that, and with it being 2024, it would be an anniversary for Donkey Kong Country. So it kind of lines up. So I feel like along with that, I could see a new game announcement and potentially well, I'm sorry, this is a prediction. So officially confirmed that they will do a Peacock series based on that Donkey Kong from the Mario movie.
Oh, that's good. That's too good. They should, right? They might.
Yeah,
I could see a Luigi's Mansion. Like everything's. Yeah, I didn't realize it was the 30th anniversary, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, sorry. I guess, listener, all my predictions may or may not be Nintendo centered. Just a heads up.
I think having Nintendo focus is good because I went all over the place. Matt, what's your number 2?
I'm gonna get my Nintendo and my expanded Switch prediction out of the way here. The Switch 2 does indeed come out this year. Here's where it gets weird. It actually can use the same dock that you own.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a separate dock that will support 4K.
Mm-hmm.
At release, this will create 2 bundles: a Switch 2 without a dock and a Switch 2 with the 4K dock.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Stay tuned. I've got more coming up on Nintendo's new console. My number 2. I said Halo Infinite will release a story expansion that does not feature a playable Master Chief. Instead, a new cooperative mode in multiplayer will begin to explore new areas of the Halo Infinite campaign story. Also, a series of Forge-constructed maps from Halo Combat Evolved will be released that allow players to relive the original campaign with up to 4 players cooperatively and without cutscenes.
Oh, wow.
I feel like they're going to try and carry that narrative forward, but they're not going to actually release single-player content, so it'll just be like how we've... the 3 of us have been like playing stuff, but you're going to get like a small little blurb on the, it'll be a splash screen or something like that just tells us what happens after Infinite, but it's not actually following Master Chief. We have to wait for a proper sequel for Master Chief's story to continue.
I like that.
Mark, number 3.
Okay, this is I lied a little bit. This is my non-Nintendo one, but it's the only one. And it feels mean-spirited, but it's just, I was going off of one of the earlier answers that I had. So, Suicide Squad will be removed from the marketplace in less than a year. I think fans are just going to be so upset that it's going to get
Matt and I were both mid-sip on that one.
That it's going to get the Gollum treatment.
Okay,
Wait,
that
Gollum
game
got
was
pulled.
fucking terrible.
Huh.
There is no...
Look, I don't know, man. I don't know how angry those fans are going to be.
Wasn't Gollum like some unheard of developer's like first or second game? I might be shit on the developer. But
I don't know.
That game was so bad. And
Anthem got removed.
That was EA.
Like, anything's possible, man.
I'm with you. Anything is possible. I wouldn't rule it out.
All right, you dipped your toe in the Halo pool, so I'll follow suit here. Halo Infinite isn't dead yet. There is a new single-player expansion announced this year. The Flood are teased.
All right. Okay. I like that we're both... You and I have some, contrasting things going on this year. I wonder if anyone has this one. My number 3, Quake 5 is announced and released. Ooh. The game will act as a sequel to both Quake and Doom Eternal. It will not launch with multiplayer. Quake Champions is released to consoles.
There it is.
Glad I finished my sip before that.
Someone's got to do it.
I was like, no mention of Champions, but there it is. He brought it.
Quake Champions comes out on console, or Suicide Squad gets pulled. I don't know what's more likely.
I almost didn't throw Champions, but then it looked like it was officially released in 2022. So why not bring that puppy over? You don't want to bury it. Mark,
true.
What's your number 4?
The next 3D Mario game will allow for true co-op. So instead of just like getting a second Joy-Con and kind of being Cappy but not in Odyssey, whatever.
Oh, right.
No, Luigi will be just as important, and you can actually do like maneuvers off of each other to platform to other obstacles and stuff.
I really hope you're right. That's a point I want you to get.
Swinging each other, jumping off of each other, throwing each other, like, all in.
That's a good way to evolve the 3D series, because I don't know what else you do other than, that's good. Matt, what's your number 4?
You zig and I zag, Joe. I'm going to kind of come around here with some Xbox stuff. The value of Game Pass is finally met. We finally get 4 AAA releases from the umbrella of Xbox Game Studios in a year. And then there's going to be bonus value Game Pass Ultimate will include a WoW subscription.
Whoa.
All right. I am also going first party with my number 4, but on the PlayStation side of the fence. For its second year, PlayStation VR 2 will receive a wave of first-party support. Team Asobi will release its next game for PlayStation 5 with an option to play entirely in VR. Media Molecule will release a VR2 exclusive title. I'd like to note here, that prediction is entirely wishful thinking because I just want something, I want first-party content that feels big and important on this thing that they spent too much money on.
Yeah. Especially for their second iteration.
Matt, I gotta jump back to Game Pass. Leave the VR in the box. Mark, your 5th and final prediction for 2024.
Okay. The Switch Plus / Tenchi will build upon the Wii U's functionality of incorporating multiple Switches to play co-op themed games like Star Fox Zero. So you can just use another Switch as a second screen. I mean, I don't know if they've actually done that yet with anything. I know, like, there might have been some board game where you can, like, attach different Switches to make a bigger board, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that actually came out or not. It might have. But I feel like it's not really utilized with a lot of their first-party stuff, like with their IPs or whatever. So to have something like that where, like, you can have a second gunner on your ship, like, that can be the other Switch or something, or just stuff like that.
And they had a patent for something that looked like 2 screen. I like where you're at. Matt, number 5.
All right. Giddy up, boys. It's time for a new personal best prediction. All right. Here we go. At Summer Games Fest, a teaser trailer for a horror game is revealed and shadow dropped the same day, called Troubled Townhouse. Aware viewership will see that 7780 Studio developed the game. Upon completing the game, you will be given a QR code that takes you to a website with a countdown. When the countdown ends 4 days later, the URL is now dead. However, keen players will notice Troubled Townhouse has an update. Upon a second completion that adds some kind of new level or puzzle, you are given a thanks for playing TT, pause for dramatic effect, parentheses, teaser 2. You are then met with the teaser trailer for OD that reveals Kojima Productions is working with Konami on Silent Hills.
Matt, if they don't do it, you gotta make it.
How did you land on Troubled Townhouse?
I needed some for TT, and that was like the only thing that was close to
At first, I thought you were going to like a cute Resident Evil route because of that, and then I was like, no, he's doing.
Yeah.
No, this is fucking Silent Hill. Damn it, I love it.
I mean, I don't think what we saw at the Game Awards was. That was the.
No, there's already shit coming out. I'm sure you've seen some of that. Like, the lips have, like, some fucking Kenji on it or something for Silent Hill and PT or whatever. I mean, I probably would have came up with some stupid fucking prediction like this before that was even found out. But, yeah, no, that's already...
As soon as she said 778, whatever, I was like, oh, okay, I know where this is. That's good. I like that.
All right, my final prediction will successfully reveal the future of Nintendo's new console. Nintendo's new console is the next in line of Iwata's vision of, quote, brothers in a family of systems, end quote. It is backwards compatible with all peripherals, but more closely resembles the Switch Lite with integrated controllers. No titles will release as exclusives, but instead will have different functionality on the new system. It will launch with the next 3D Mario title. Mario Kart 10 will not launch in the console's launch lineup. The Wii version of Punch-Out will be re-released to celebrate the series' 40th anniversary. Monster Hunter Wilds is announced for the platform. Finally, somewhere, a Smash Brothers logo appears.
Oh, no. Oh, damn.
I was going to throw in a Metroid Prime 4 thing in there, but, to go back to our questions from before, the reason I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out next year is I think it will be in that kind of like... I think it is going to be cross... But I really think this new Nintendo platform is going to be Nintendo's answer to the iPhone or the iPad, right? Where the software you have will just continue to work endlessly. They've done a lot of investment and stuff to make sure that like your account is there and all of that. The branding of Nintendo Switch Online, that whole membership, all that stuff, I feel like it needs to carry forward. That's why I do think Nintendo Switch 2 could be a very real title for it. But, with the expectation that what you buy works both ways and that kind of stuff. I think at some point they'll phase out these older models. That might even happen next year, so that you're just buying the new one and games will run better. And you'll get to a certain point where certain games, if you're in the eShop, it'll say like only compatible with Nintendo Switch 2024 or whatever.
Okay. I like
Tenchi, etc. I just find it conspicuous that Monster Hunter Wilds is not doing anything. And why announce it now and then not talk about it until summer 2024? Something's weird there. I don't...
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, there's our 15 predictions for 2024. We're going to quickly talk about our most anticipated games of 2024 before we detail for you, listener, some upcoming excitement around Season 12. Mark, what's your most anticipated game 2024?
I had a struggle with this. There wasn't anything that was, like, super grabbing at me. Like, if I had a PS5, I would say Rebirth, but I don't have one. So I gotta wait another year before I play that. But, but then there was, like, the Plucky Squire I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of looking forward to the Black Myth Wukong, but I know it's going to play like a Souls game, so I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it yet. To be determined. So, Hyper Light Breaker is my choice.
That's good.
I haven't been around Heart Machine games in a little bit, and I remember everything that I've seen with that so far, even though it's like not even in early access yet. I like the direction that game is going in, so I'm very enticed to jump into that world.
Matt?
I wanted to be cute and say something like Infinite Wealth or Tekken, but it's Rebirth. Like, come on. Yeah, I mean, that was my Final Fantasy VII Remake is still my favorite Final Fantasy. The combat system is, like, I don't want to say perfect, because I'm sure there's always room for improvement, but it's like my favorite, and from what we've seen so far, it seems we're just kind of adding a little bit more to it, which is great. But still a little sad that it's already been said where they're ending, which is like the most obvious pivot point to go to 3, but just overall just kind of sad. We're gonna have to redo this in like 2 or 3 years again. Like, when's the last part of this come out? But no, I'm excited. I was already trying to play through a little bit of Final Fantasy VII, trying to get through more of it than I have ever have before, and I kind of stopped. We'll see if I pick it back up beforehand. But just the anticipation for Rebirth, and we're kind of getting into some of the Uncharted things that I have not seen personally. I've already kind of was like thinking I should probably go and see it firsthand before this game comes out. So the fact that this game is making me play something old that I can't get myself to ever finish in the numerous attempts, I think that deserves its most anticipated for me.
I too wanted to go a little in whatever direction. I kind of, to Mark's point, 2024 for me is like there's still not a ton of games announced. Like I feel like the whole back half of the year is empty, and I don't know.
That's what made you asked that question earlier about like delays. There's nothing been announced really,
and like because it's like a lot of things might have been teased, but no hard date yet. And for all we know, one of those could be updated to where it does release this year. So if that happens, listener, just know that my answer immediately changes to The Last Ronin if that drops.
Oh yeah, that should
yeah.
Joe, sorry to cut you.
No, I mean my answer should be Monster Hunter Wilds, but that's not for another year, so I can't say that. No, mine is Skate Story. Looking at the release calendar, Skate Story was supposed to come out this year, so it just looks like a cool game. This is the Devolver Digital one where you're like
right. Yeah.
silver being skateboarding. You're cursed by the devil or something, and you just get to do rad skateboarding. There's like no HUD, and if you fall, you shatter to pieces. It just looks really cool.
Yeah, that Devolver just had like a Christmas special recently. And no mention of that game.
Ah, crap. Well, honorable mentions to all the boys on the way. Metaphor ReFantazio. I'm also intrigued by South Park Snow Day.
I am too. I didn't realize that's like part 3 in this trilogy, isn't it?
Is this like following? Oh, this is meant to be a follow-up to...
It says you're playing as the new kid again. I forgot what that trailer... So it might be like...
So they just went back to fantasy after superheroes, I guess.
Sure. Who cares? It would be some dumb quip in the first 10 minutes. Like, we're tired of superheroes. Go back to fantasy.
Yeah.
They might have actually did something like that.
I'm sure,
that game looks fun for sure. I'll definitely play that.
Yeah, if that's crossplay, I think it's an easy, fun one for us to jump into together. I'm also curious about Dragon's Dogma 2. And I keep thinking maybe I'll go back to 1, but I think I'm just going to wait and just jump into 2 if I'm, we'll see.
I attempted to play Dragon's Dogma 1 when it was free for PlayStation Plus many moons ago on PlayStation 3. It was weird.
Yeah, that's a game where you gotta appreciate its jank. Is like that's half the game's charm.
Yeah, and I think I don't know this new one, RE Engine, etc.
Yeah, I would wait for that.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Season 12 and what to expect, and then we've got a special console ranking segment to close out on. Season 12. This is the first episode of Season 12. Of course, we always start the year with our predictions. But since we've moved to sort of the newer format of the show with Season 10, where every week we talk about a different game and then we rank, kind of review and then rank those games on the list. We also use this opportunity in this podcast to talk about sort of things that have changed or will be changing this season. So, first thing I want to mention, we will no longer have monthly articles, which I don't know how many people were looking at the monthly articles anyway, but those were sort of just poetic overviews of a singular theme that kind of tied the games together and laid out what to expect in terms of that month's worth of games. And we announced what the month's games were on the first of the month every month, so you kind of knew what the next 4 episodes or so were going to be. But moving away from that, instead we're going to have more of a... you'll see in the sidebar of every podcast article, there will now be a schedule that just straight up says, here's the next X amount of episodes, and here's the games we're talking about, here's the cover art for them. And then as those episodes go live, you'll be able to just click on them and jump right in. And we'll do those in sort of batches at a time, like a quarter of the year at a time. Season 12 also sees the transformation of Mark into Bowser, taking more of a Bowser and Mario Party role. So Mark may not be on every weekly episode, but expect him to show up for random appearances and random games. There's a few games I think I know Mark will show up and talk about and help rank. There's also at least one surprise I have for the year that I think Mark will show up for. More on that later for Mark and the listener. But again, we'll have like the schedule of everything up on the side, so you'll be able to see what we're doing. And then the other big change that we've done this year is we've created a new tent pole system. So the idea here, as we review and rank these games on the list, which of course you can review the list at thefreecheese.com/the list, every week, it's never a matter of, okay, where does this fit in the top 5? It's always like, well, where is this above or below Devil's Crush? It's been a while since we've had a true challenger for Wii Sports. So, with Season 12, and it's so funny because, listener, last year, I feel like we started to get the itch about like what to do for Season 11 by like October, November, and we revealed to one another what our game choices were for Season 11 in November. This year, we did it in August. I don't know if we were ready for the change then or just whatever it was, but we were really excited about Season 12. So we've had all this stuff picked out and planned for a while now. What we're doing is we've selected 4 games, 4 tent poles for 2024, 1 per quarter roughly, that they were chosen specifically with the objective of dethroning Wii Sports from the number 1 spot. So we picked 4 things, and we'll read them out. And yeah, the idea here is that these could potentially be our new number 1s. So the first one we'll have early up. And when I said quarterly, I don't mean like, literally, we just kind of like divided things up. We'll have multiple episodes for these games because they are that big and that important that we'll kind of talk about them several times throughout the year. But first is Halo Combat Evolved. That'll be next week, actually, is our first episode in the Halo series, so come back for that. Next is Super Mario Galaxy 2. The third, Pokemon Gold with Pokemon Silver. And then finally, Tetris Effect Connected. Those are our 4 potential Wii Sports killers. So where they rank, we don't know yet. But Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about the thought process on why those games or why we want to do this or elaborate or anything?
No, I think the why is we're just tired of seeing Wii Sports at the top. I think also we challenged ourselves to, I don't know, before we never really picked games with a purpose. We had our own individual kind of thoughts behind it. I mean, I speak for myself when I say I never really picked anything that I aimed for number 1. I never really cared. I just kind of put things on for various reasons that we usually discuss on air or whatever. But no, it was actually it was harder than it should have been to pick games for number 1. But no, I think that was the key change, was the purpose there. And then with that, we're not going to name the rest of the games, obviously, but like the rest of the episodes is going to be like our normal 10 and 11, where we talk about a game, or beforehand we'll play through it, then we talk about a game and then rank it. Then what we did with that is, based off those 10 polls, by the loosest of connections, we connected some of these games back to a 10 poll. So I don't know, it made us kind of think about our selections a little bit more and be more purposeful. I mean, again, when I say loosely connected, you could probably pick a game and find a connection somehow, but no, it was picking games with a purpose, which I think we haven't really done before in this way, at least.
No, like my season 11 and my season 12 lists that I'd made initially were both like just stuff that would pop up. I kind of mentioned before, but like the browsing through old video game magazines or watching random things, retrospectives, like all these things that I'm like, oh, I never played that, or oh, I loved that, I think we should have that on the list. it's stuff like that I would add to the list, but it would be because I kind of just wanted to play it, or I wanted to see what your guys' reaction to that thing was. It was never like that was kind of the beginning and end of it. What ended up happening here once we picked those tent poles, it was like, how do the rest of the games I'm bringing to this list complement or contrast or something that game itself? So the ones I ended up picking were, I kind of wove them together in a way that maybe they don't directly connect to the tentpole game, but there's some sort of through line that leads one to the other. A common developer or, theme, things like that. So check out thefreecheese.com. Our whole new homepage is up and live. You can see, well, that new layout, but also the sidebar in our single article posts. That'll have the upcoming schedule. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to everything we've got coming up in the first few weeks. The whole year we got bangers all the way through. I think there's, just to be transparent for the listener, right now, there's literally 1 week of the year that we do not have filled in with an episode topic. And most of the episodes are game focused. We have very few sort of tangential or exploratory episodes. So I'm excited to see how this season shapes out. Finally, console ranking. So we ranked 30 consoles last year across 3 different podcast episodes. Again, on the homepage, there's a big fat console ranking image you can click on, and you can look at the full article, read through all the little blurbs about each console, check out the art, etc., etc. But along the way of ranking these consoles, we got to learn more about the libraries of games on each console, the features that we'd never had the chance to fully experience in some cases. So this year, we're going to give ourselves a chance to experience them. The idea was basically like, a couple of consoles came up that we appreciated but never really owned or never had a chance to really spend time with. So while we from afar could be like, hey, that game, that console should be number 36. Well, we didn't do 36. It should be number 16. If what I had ranked it higher if I had owned it personally, or just in researching these things, we learned a lot. Like, this thing seems cool, I wish I owned it. So, this year, Matt and I are going to announce today consoles that struck us the most during that ranking as the ones that we wished we'd spent more time with. Then we're going to buy that console, like, soon. Like, we've been trying to figure out within the last or next week or so when we're actually going to go find these things. And we're going to spend all of 2024 playing it. In some cases, some of the games on the list complement the consoles that we chose. In other ways, we just want to play this console and own it because it's something we never did. And then at the end of the year, we'll have a whole episode, I think, dedicated to just the consoles themselves. And we'll go over kind of what our year ended up. Do we want to re-rank the console now that we have more familiarity with it, et cetera, et cetera? So, Matt, I guess let's just go through these questions one by one. I'll ask, we'll both answer, and kind of just talk about the... you know what? No, let's do it this way. I think it flows better conversationally if I just ask you. So, Matt, which console did you select?
I am going with the PSP.
And what led you to the decision of PSP?
The library that is stuck there.
Yeah.
Like, there's so, like, you're talking about the lack of support for PSVR 2 from Sony. There is so much support on the PSP that's just stuck there. And there's, like, good games and franchises that have kind of ended there, too. Like, Siphon Filter comes to mind. There's, like, the weird Metal Gear Solid Acid games that are on there. Some good God of War games from the, like the OG action.
Ready at Dawn.
Yeah, yes, from them, and like just the old school like not third person, but what I mean, like the top, not even top down, isometric action games. That's God, so many views in video games. Yeah, and I just want to see like what's MLB The Show look like? On a PSP. And I guess I never got the real chance to transfer, but I guess I can try to see if I can get my PS3 and if I have the right copies of MLB The Show to do so. And I missed the XMB. I know the Vita. Yeah. I don't know why. Why did you go away from it? But no, go to the XMB and just play through some of those games. But the library is the main reason, though.
Yeah. And why did you not own a PSP previously?
I think I just wasn't really playing a lot of portable stuff then, or if I don't even think I had anything. I was just playing more console stuff, and then of course back, at that time I didn't have like a job or disposable income, so I just couldn't go walk to the store and buy one myself. It was more like a Christmas gift or whatever, and it was just a matter of, is it worth me asking for that and sacrificing something else I want, or so as that a PSP never intrigued me in its time to ask for something like that.
Were there any other consoles from our list of 30 that you considered purchasing instead of PSP?
Part of me wanted to go a Sega console, whether maybe not the Saturn, but like the Genesis, maybe even the Master System. But I don't have the right TV hookup, and I don't have a retro link to drop money on. I feel like if I'm going to do it right to analyze it and whatever, I kind of want to see it as close to pixel perfect as I can. Which I know that's nitpicky, but also the other thing is
not at all.
I think the other thing is like I think there is a lot more opportunity for me to play something portable, and also like a PSP, its own native screen, so I don't have to worry about any kind of any kind of hookups or having not the right kind of television or equipment.
Are there any games besides, you named a few, anything else you've like already started to pick out or price out, things like that?
You know what? I had a list, and is this the note?
Are you going to replay Patapon? Patapon 2?
I've thought about Patapon, yes. Oh, here we are. I was thinking about going back and doing the anti-Jim Ryan and playing some Gran Turismo. Luminous, another rhythm game. I got real into Theater Rhythm this year, so Luminous. Want to see that on there. And then, while I'm here, I may as well go see that third Parasite Eve game.
Yeah, dude.
Clamoring for a remaster. I may as well see what's available,
I think you're going to enjoy it, and then you're also going to figure out the way to... Or no, you can't. I think that was only the PSP Go. You could hook the DualShock 3 up to it and play with the right stick. But, yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, I have written down here, Persona 3 is a potential. I don't see me maybe beating that game, but at least investing some time into my first Persona game.
Oh, man. Well, that's a whole other episode. I feel like I'd almost recommend Persona 1 over 3, but maybe, I don't know. Are there any special considerations you need to take before purchasing the console? Are there any specific...
I don't know. I don't know the right questions, but luckily, one of the people on the other side of a microphone here has bought like 8 of them in the last 2 years. So
yeah, I did do that. Yeah, I got you. We'll make sure you get the right battery and get the right charger. If you have one of those old PS3 DualShock dual charging stands, that charger works for it. So you have an official OEM thing, but we'll
I don't.
There. So I selected. I guess, Mark, what do you think of Matt's selection? Did you think Matt was going to go with something different? Do you feel like this is a perfect choice? Do you wish Matt would have selected something different?
No, I think this is a very great choice. I feel like I'm going to kind of live vicariously through this experience because I had a PSP for like maybe not even a full month, and I dropped it, and I had like a bowl on the floor, like next to my bed or whatever, and it just landed on the rim of the bowl and cracked the screen, and I never replaced it. But for the small time that I had it, I was really enjoying that thing, and I think the closest thing I have now is that PlayStation TV.
Oh yeah.
But that's more of like my PS1 emulator than anything. But
Yeah, doesn't that lean more towards Vita than PSP?
yeah, like there are some like digital PSP games I think you could maybe play, but yeah, otherwise there's no point for PSP stuff on there. So yeah, I think that's very exciting. I'm curious to see how that goes.
Oh, and for the record, I'm not playing Peace Walker on PSP. I've already played through it. That was the whole thing I did.
You should go through all the Monster Hunter games and keep transferring your character.
I think I'm
between
good.
Each one.
I think I'm good. Not enough time in a day, you know.
Plenty of time. Gotta. I chose the Xbox. So I picked this pretty early after we landed on the idea last summer. And for me, it was the game that, like, I'm sorry, the console I just never had. And, like, looking at what I have on hand now and I've recollected and things like that, it's, like, the one thing I can't easily play outside of, like, playing Xbox titles on Series X. But just not having that original box, there's so much to that library I never had. But it also was, like, the console that always seemed cool. And if you look back, there's a few articles on the website. One is called The Alternate Timeline, where I kind of just reflected on not owning an Xbox and always kind of wondering what was over there. And I, like, kind of got the gist of GameCube through playing with friends and at friends' houses and playing back. With the Wii, I was able to plug GameCube controllers and discs in, and I know it wasn't the same as having the console and hearing, all the stuff, but I got it, right? Xbox, I just never had that experience, so I wanted it. In August, I started a savings goal so that I was scheduled by the end of 2023 to have enough money to buy what I thought would be enough, or to have enough to buy the console, some games. Really what I wanted was a console, hopefully a console that's been recapped, one of each of the controllers, the styles of controllers, and Halo at the very least. Mostly because we're playing Halo for the podcast, but also because how are you going to buy an Xbox and not have a Halo?
True.
So in terms of owning one previously and why we didn't, we just had a PS2, so never had the Xbox. Never, like, it was kind of like we had what we needed, and there weren't at the time enough games that seemed like stuff that I needed to, own. I did look at both WonderSwan and Super Nintendo for this project. WonderSwan is still something I would like to own physically, but Xbox just felt like a big gap in my gaming history that I wanted to fill, and I think it'd be neat to own one. And I think I'm gonna have an easier time collecting and playing Xbox games than WonderSwan in 2023. So in America specifically, so it felt like that was the right choice. Super Nintendo, I have an idea for some stuff to do for Super Nintendo, and to Matt's point of maybe going down the Genesis hole, I have a couple of ideas for the three of us this year. But owning the original hardware doesn't interest me for Super Nintendo. Like, not everything is obviously on the Switch Online stuff, but there's just so many ways to play those games now, and so many ways I've already played them that owning the actual hardware, I don't think it would add that much to me. If I need that, like, feeling of the controller, I can do that with the Nintendo Switch Online. You know what I mean? Like, it just, Xbox kind of took over that element.
Can't copy the Duke.
You can't. I tried, and it didn't. That one that I got for the Xbox One started putting false inputs. Anyway, so in terms of games, Halo Combat Evolved, Project Gotham Racing always seemed super cool from afar. mostly because it sounds like a Batman game that's not. But also, now that I've played Top Gear Rally, seeing that lineage move forward into Metropolis Street Racer on the Dreamcast and now Project Gotham Racing, I'm excited to see that. Of course, Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, I've played a bit of now, but that always just seemed like the Xbox game other than Halo. And then I'm super stoked to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X. I've never played it.
Oh, wow.
But it's got all the levels from 1 and 2, plus some exclusive for 2X that I've never played before. It's got all sorts of wild stuff. It seems like a crazy, wild package that I'm really excited to see. And going into it, I've got to be careful about capacitor leakage, because that's a real problem. And I want multiple controllers, so I need to make sure I can track those things down. But other than that, I don't think any crazy considerations. The neat thing that happened with me is once I started a list of games that I wanted to buy, I started to save up for it. And I started to with most of the retro, Matt mentioned, I've bought a handful of PSPs and I've purchased a DSi and a 2DS. I've slowly built out this little selection or library of consoles. They've all been relatively impulse purchases where I just sort of got on a whim, liked this thing, and said, yeah, that one's cheap enough on eBay, let me buy it. Or I'm in a store, let me just buy this thing. The weird thing here is that once I chose the Xbox and decided we're going to do this for 2024 and I started saving for it, it kind of felt like building up to a console launch again. Like the last few months I've been anticipating the launch of the Xbox for me in a weird way. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say, I don't think Bill Gates will be there to shake your hand upon.
But we don't know, right? I'm ready to line up. But truly, I started going through, I watched old press conference stuff, which was harder to find for that era. We're just before the big era of publicly facing press conferences for these things. But one of the first things I read through in anticipation for all this was EGM's 18-page cover story that officially unveiled the look of the console and had a deep dive with the core team at Microsoft that were creating the box. They were surprisingly transparent in this article. So this is EGM number 103 from February 2001 was the date on the cover. But reading through the pages and the details of the console's power and the ideology behind building the thing, specifically what they were doing in contrast to the competition, I was man, if I had known this stuff back then, maybe I would have bought an Xbox. All the things that went into making, why does it have 4 controller ports? Why this? Why that? I was getting stoked on it. Some of the stuff, I'm sure I knew this at some point, but being able to import your own CDs and store the music on the hard drive so you can build custom soundtracks for your games seems super rad. And the one thing specifically, reading about Tony Hawk, that 2X game and how it had both levels, I'm reading the magazine and I'm oh man, this thing sounds so cool. I can't wait to buy, until it comes out. But it's obviously I can just go buy one. I don't know. It all sounds like this was maybe the last era before video games entered this big mainstream that, more than they already did. But it just kind of all feels like punk rock in a way. And I don't know. I feel like I should have had one at the time. So I'm excited to own one. And finally, last piece, in my search for launch details around Xbox, I finally found the magazine that has haunted me for 22 years. Right. The 0 issue of official Xbox magazine has the centerfold with a breakdown of the system's features and its, all the little elements of it. And in the center, number 46, in all caps, it says it's got a built-in drink holder. Just remove the jewel and your drink will never be far away again. I finally tracked it down. I just need to get a copy of it. I have not been able to find one.
You're going to frame it and put it up on the wall in the basement?
Right here. Every day. You can just look at it. Yeah. I don't know, I'm very I'm stoked. I feel like the Xbox is coming out. Very excited. And honestly, I'm excited. I've played with the Duke before, but I've never played with the S controller. So I'm excited to actually own one of those. Yeah,
I like the S.
Mark, we talked about this on our console ranking, but you did play Xbox.
Yes. So, me and my two older brothers, we each had one system from this generation. So, oldest had the Xbox, but he lived a little bit away, so I didn't get to play it too much. It was just mostly like Halo LAN parties, Tony Hawk 4, Fusion Frenzy, and there might have been a couple other ones thrown in there that I can't remember right now. But no, I really enjoyed that system. I am a little bit disappointed that you don't have Steel Battalion on your list, but I understand. Hard to acquire.
We'll see. I told you, I'm always... Whenever I go to these old stores, my eyes are always open. So if I find it...
but the whole controller is a whole other thing. Like,
I know.
It's just insane. Like I'm still trying to hunt for that shit. But
there is one sitting in someone's house that their mom is calling them every couple months and like, we're moving. You need to come get this thing. So someone's gonna just throw one away, and we'll come upon it at some point.
Yeah. But yeah, no, love the Xbox. I think that there's a lot of core memories tied to that whole generation for me.
Is there a different console I should have picked?
Xbox makes sense, especially given your history. Makes a lot of sense. I could see another timeline where you picked the Wonder Swan and went all in. I could see you getting lost in that, and I think it's only a matter of time. I think it can still happen. But no, I think you made it. I think it's a good choice. I'm really curious to see how you start to approach this system in terms of just like perspective and all that. I'm really curious on your takes on it. I do have a question for both of you. What color is your system?
It's I think it's gonna be whatever's available and in good shape. If I know I said I wasn't gonna play the game, but I think I would own the Peace Walker Metal Gear Solid Edition.
Okay.
Get that camo, boy.
And you're looking at the 3000, right, Matt?
I think. The
3's got a wider range of colors you can choose from, so that works in your favor. In planning my budget for this, I looked up what do the different variants cost, and honestly, for the money I set aside, and it's not crazy, I just set aside a couple $100 just to make sure I could cover the spread. I can get the black original console, 2 controllers, and Halo for what I looked at the actual Halo transparent green console, and like it's gonna cost me my entire budget just for that console, and that's no games. But if I get the black one, I can get that, and I can get a couple games besides Halo. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I can't remember if they had like a platinum console or not.
So they did. There's one that's like there's a green, transparent green one. There's a transparent clear, like just whitish clear.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's the Mountain Dew one, which is more rare, and that one's like straight lime green. But that one, I think by itself, broken, is like 400 or something.
Wow.
So But
okay. I think these are very good choices.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a fun time for both of us. And that's the end of episode 538. we did a lot. Looking back at 2023, all of our recap of predictions and our themes and most anticipated games. We introduced the brand new group question segment where we answered 12 questions together for 2024, set our new personal themes, 15 hot new, well, let's go with 12 to 13 predictions, because Matt and I have a couple that cancel one another out, so I don't know how that'll go, but our most anticipated games, changes for Season 12, and of course, our new adventures in home console ownership. I'm excited. So we'll have, honestly, thefreecheese.com is the best place to go for everything. We'll have our schedule, we'll have what to expect, and all sorts of fun stuff. I anticipate, keeping sort of a live running journal on my adventures through Xbox as the year continues. We've got all sorts of fun stuff planned, so stay tuned. We'll be back next week, actually. It's a weekly podcast. Stay tuned for next week with the first episode discussing Halo Combat Evolved to kick off Season 12 proper. Until then, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening.